We're talking about Kaepernick and him sitting during the pledge, during the national anthem at the 49ers game last weekend. So, as you know, the conservatives have gone bat. Crazy. Yes, indeed, America, it is true. They've called it terrible. They've called him unpatriotic. They've said that he has slighted our troops. And the campaign, the criticism and the vitriol goes so deep and so far. So let me set the record straight here for you. Number one, it is within this quarterback's freedom of speech to sit down whenever the hell he feels like it. Okay? Number two, in an interview in the locker room, Kaepernick made it very clear that his sitting has nothing to do with America's veterans. He actually appreciates our veterans, and he thanked them for allowing him the opportunity to sit down. They gave him that freedom by fighting for our Constitution each and every day. But here's the thing about our Constitution. The First Amendment gives everybody the ability to have the freedom of expression. Kaepernick sitting down is a speech act. It is an act of protest to speak out against the fact that America is not the most just country in the world. He's not lying. He's not making this crap up. I mean, let's be very real. The education gap between African Americans and Hispanic youth of color, and Caucasian youth of color is ridiculous. The poverty gap is ridiculous. The wealth gap is ridiculous. Racism is alive and well in this country. Don't take my word for it. I have 3 words for you: Donald J. Trump. Okay? And on top of all that things, on top of the compounded racism, on top of the Trump campaign, on top of the fact, that there's all these gaps that exist between communities of color and the majority community, you also have unarmed men being randomly killed by police officers, by people who have authority. All these things put together have created what I would call a powder keg of oppression. And it's really created, it's real, people. This oppression is real. What this athlete is doing is saying our country needs to create change. What he's doing is also something that we've seen done before. If you can remember, we just had the Olympics a couple of days ago. About 4 or 5 decades on, it's almost 7 decades back, we had Olympic athletes. After receiving the gold medal, instead of putting their hand on their heart, they put their fist up in the air, representing another instance when they used their presentation as athletes to speak out against oppression. We've also seen basketball teams wear Black Lives Matter t-shirts. We've seen the women's basketball team refuse to wear their jerseys because they want the realization and the actualization of a black life really having worth and value in this country. So to all the haters out there, including what's her name, Tommy Lowe, whatever the hell her name is, who's on the Blaze, who keep making up all this malarkey and attacking Kaepernick for standing up for African Americans, screw you. Okay, if you have a problem with him sitting down, then you should also have a problem with the fact that African Americans and, I would argue, Latinos in this country are being oppressed. Ridiculous oppression. I'm not making this stuff up. This is happening in real life. They're putting illegal guns on our streets in places like Chicago. Right? They're trying, Donald Trump wants to implement more policies like stop and frisk, which overproportionately impacted and criminalized black men and Hispanic men. They want to continue to push for private prisons where they can create a direct pipeline between schools and imprisonment of our youth. They are now killing us, and when they're done killing us, they continue to victim shame us. Every African American who has lost their life at the hands of police that has made national news, you hear people go like, oh, well, he had a criminal record. Does him have a criminal record mean that he deserves to lose his life? Absolutely not. If we truly want black lives to matter, we need to see more speech acts like what Kaepernick has done. I encourage the NBA. I encourage Caucasian players, Hispanic players, black players, API players, green players, blue players to stand up and say that oppression is real in this country. You don't have to have glasses on to see it. It's as bright as day. And we need to do something about it. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, right now. Systemic racism is real, America. Don't let anybody tell you anything different.